Good morning, everybody. Good morning. I hope everybody's doing well this morning. Happy Tuesday. We had a nice run up in the indexes here, that morning drive on ES. Looks like we're doing a little bit of a back test here. We did bounce on the upper VWAP band on ES right here. I took that for a small scalp, very small. I'm only up like 50 or 60 bucks in my accounts, but regardless, a nice setup. We'll see what happens here. We are forming a bit of a distribution up here, so we might get another setup to the long side in this general area, but we might get a bigger pullback as well. Let's see what happens here. I'm not just going to take the first touch, but if we get some strength, step in. We do have some buyers stepping in here. I think I'll take a little bit of a nibble. Here we go. So we did get a nice little bounce there, guys. A value area high. Now, can we sustain it is the question, but that was only a 7-point bounce, very small. You guys can catch, hold on, this is the free chat. All right, I'd like to welcome everybody who's joining me on YouTube. Great to have you guys. I stream for the first 30 minutes of the trading day for free here on YouTube, so happy to give you guys some free access, and then we continue to trade for the rest of the morning up until about 12 p.m. in the premium side of the Discord. I've only taken a couple of small trades so far this morning. We just called out a nice scalp there off of the upper band. It's still going. This is a price discovery continuation long per the VWAP Wave core setups. And this played out almost to the tick on ES. ES tends to trade a lot cleaner. And so far we've had about nothing crazy. 8-point bounce. 30 tick move. But it was enough for me to grab $100 in each of my accounts so far. So my daily profit goal is 1,000. So for those of you who are new, let's talk a little bit about what you are looking at here on the screen. Okay, this is my this is all one symbol. All right, these are different time frames with different things going on here. So I'm going to go over this real quick. And this was a nice long. It's working out. Price discovery continuation long on ES, long off the upper band. Our profit target was probably middle of the distribution that's forming here. Let's drop a little bit of a anchored volume profile. So you see, guys, we're forming this distribution here. So the long was off the base of this structure and the value area high in the VWAP band. First goal was to get through this point of control, and then we can expect to go to the other side of this distribution. All right, it's about a 10-point move. It's working out nice. Ed says thicker markets usually mean cleaner setups, and that's 100% right. If I'm trading, there's good opportunities. I'm almost always trading ES for that reason. Cleaner setups for sure. If there's nothing going on in ES, I'll look at the Russell, I'll look at gold, oil, even soybeans, copper, silver, see if there's anything going on in those markets. So back to the charts here, guys. The top left, this is a hourly chart with the entire session volume profile. This allows me to see if we're in yesterday's value area or distribution, And then where do we relate to previous session value areas and distributions? Yes, this is ES currently. I do trade other markets. This is just what I'm looking at right now. Top right is my 5-minute chart. This is my execution chart. We have the VWAP bands starting at anchored at the beginning of the futures session, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have the initial balance for each individual symbol. So the first hour of trading that hasn't developed yet, obviously. And then we have a volume profile on the regular trading hours. Bottom left is our big macro picture. This is the daily with a VWAP anchored all the way to the beginning of the year. You can see we've been in price discovery to the downside, and this has been holding pretty strong. We haven't been able to break back into value yet. I expect when we do so, we're going to get a nice move to the upside when we accept and return to value on the year. Bottom right, this is my 30-minute chart, and I'll have a anchored VWAP to the week and to the month. All right, this is for confluence and also a bigger picture. Where are we trading in relation to the beginning of the week and the month? All right, and we're bullish on both right now. We're above the weekly bands. We're above the monthly VWAP. All right, so we're in a good move to the upside. I do this same layout on all the markets I watch. So for example, this is oil. All right, we already have an initial balance in oil because that started at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, and this goes to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on oil. All right, you can see this nice confluence between the initial balance high here and the upper band. All right, that would have been a great setup. That's a value area extreme setup on oil. We could look at natural gas. All right, kind of trading in the middle of value currently. We got gold. Initial balance starts at 8:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All right, goes to 9:20 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is the regular trading hours of gold per the futures. All right, we just had a VWAP bounce set up to the short side in gold, almost to the tick. We got copper trading above the initial balance, testing session VWAP. Silver holding below VWAP. Soybeans and Bitcoin. All right, so let's see what's going on in the markets today now that we kind of did a little house cleaning of what you're looking at. Damien asks, from what times do you mark the sessions volume profiles from previous days? So that's my top left chart here, and that's going to be at the beginning of the future session, so 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I think Aaron answered that question in the chat, in the Discord. So that's the entire session from 6 p.m. to 5 p.m. All the data. I want to see everything on that chart. So on ES, we formed this distribution, all right? And every distribution has its own value areas. We can expect this until it leaves the distribution to either the upside or the downside. This volume is not retail traders. This is hedge funds. This is institutions and banks that are currently doing business in this range. And this is where the big players are getting in and out, hence the choppier conditions. Once we leave this, right, and this is where a lot of retail traders will get sucked into fake breakouts, right? They're looking for, if you remove all of this, let's remove all of that, let's remove this, let's remove that, right? They're looking for, there's probably a moving average here or whatever, and they're looking for the breakout to the upside. But what I see is a distribution. And I see a lot of big players doing business here. And until we can break out and accept up here, I think a lot of retail traders will probably get trapped right there as it returns to value. We can expect it to keep doing what it's currently doing, building this distribution until it breaks to one side or the other. It doesn't just break, but it shows acceptance, right? And we define acceptance by either distance or time. Okay, so it takes a big move out of this range, or we spend a lot of time out of this range. Yep, gold is 8:20 a.m. to Eastern to 9:20 Eastern Standard Time. And if you check, Damien, the PDF section, actually there's a little cheat sheet. Grab yourself a little cheat sheet. So all the metals are actually different. They're the most confusing out of all of them. Gold is 8:20, copper is 8:10, and silver is 8:25. It's the only market that's like that. All energy is 9 a.m. It's consistent. All the indexes are 9:30. So let's drop this again. All right, I expect choppy conditions until we can show acceptance out of here. I don't think we're going to get it right away. We'll see what happens. We got to break out of yesterday's.
Yeah, Klein says major auto firm CEOs are telling me that they want to maintain their activities in Canada.
So if you look over here, guys, we're still in yesterday's distribution. All right, we haven't even gotten really. We did get to the value area high right here, and I actually shorted that. I expected a quick fade from yesterday's value area high on that distribution. Didn't get much, got a little scalp, but let me check the YouTube guys. For those of you guys on YouTube, I don't check that chat as much. I don't see, Celeste, I don't see there's much of a trend in gold right now. I see us chopping in this value area. We've been in value for almost 3 days in gold. Right, we're chopping in these value areas up here. You can see that by these big distributions. Right, so even if we combine these into one, look at that. Gold is in one giant distribution. So you can expect these areas right here to hold until we move out to new value. Looks like we're getting a move. They're going to try and break out of this distribution. Can they do it? Gold IB low. I would say maybe even a little lower. We might go down here for a scalp. What's NQ doing? Yeah. This is also trying to break out of the see if it holds. See if we go right back to this point of control here. So far, that looks like a trap. Who called that one? So like I had said before this even happened, retail is going to be looking to buy this breakout as it breaks the top of this structure, looking for continuation of the upside. They're not looking at this giant distribution. They're just seeing this friendly trend, right? So they probably all bought this broke out, and now they're all being flushed, right? I see a distribution that hasn't shown price acceptance outside of it yet, right? So I assume anything is a trap until it shows acceptance. And I was right. That was a trap. They sucked in a bunch of retail here, brought it back to point and control. The place to get in, guys, if you were going long, was down here, the bottom of the structure, the bottom of the distribution. So yeah, that might have been the second band there, Chuck, but what's really happening is this. This is the volume data. So this is telling us there's a big distribution here. So we're in value up here. I don't want you to get too sucked into just looking at the bands because there's more context that needs to be developed. The bands are great, don't get me wrong, but there's more to it. So we had the confluence as we touched the band here, and we had the bottom of this distribution. So that was the nice setup right there. Up here, there's really no, I mean, you could have shorted that upper band because it's also the top of this distribution. Hasn't really proven itself yet. Now we might get a second move here. I am expecting us to go up to 200 at least. That's yesterday's distribution on NQ. We already got yesterday's distribution on ES, so, you know, it might take a while it chews through all the sellers up here, but it could happen. I don't see it. I don't think it's going to happen fast. I think they're going to work their way through all these orders. It's going to take some time. And then once we do, we'll probably get some continued nice up movement. So we'll be patient. I'm only up slightly, 115 bucks or so. Small scalps this morning. My goal is $1,000. See if we can get there. Not going to force it. I'm going to wait for good setups. I do. Oh, look at that. Somebody just took a dump on all the buyers.
The EU expects US tariffs to remain as talks make little progress. Again, EU expects US tariffs to remain as talks make little progress.
I guess there's news there that EU is having talks at they're making little progress on tariffs.
Euro seeing some whipsawing because again, the EU expects US tariffs to remain as talks make little.
So that's my squawk box, guys. If you can hear it in the background, I get breaking news as it happens.
Scant progress bridging trade differences this week, as officials from Trump's administration indicated that the bulk of the US tariffs imposed on the bloc will not be removed. EU trade chief Shevchevich left the meeting with little clarity on the US's stance, struggling to determine the American side aims, according to people familiar with the discussions. He met for about 2 hours with US Commerce Secretary Lutnick and trade.
A little bit of a VWAP bounce here setting up, guys. See if we get it. Be very careful. Because now we're breaking out of this distribution and we don't have a whole lot of data on the session yet. So there's not a whole lot of confluence here. Maybe yesterday's IB low. This general vicinity might be interesting for a bounce. Lots of sellers. Hold off. Yep, nothing yet. Letting it go. Just too much selling going on here. No setup. Maybe we get a reclaim long. All right, we're at that IB. Okay, I took a little hyper scalps there, guys. I don't expect you guys to trade that stuff. That's very difficult. I was able to take 200 bucks off that, but no real setup there. Aside from quick bounces on that VWAP, quick bounces on this. We're at the lower band, which is interesting. See if this holds. Beautiful. See the fade value or extreme setup.
Ukraine President Zelensky says Ukraine, UK, France, and Turkey representatives are holding a meeting on the Black Sea security.
And that was a 10.40 tick bounce right there. You had to be quick, though. This price action is very fast right now. So I took a couple quick scalps there. I'm up 430 across my accounts here. Times 5. And that was the bounce. Let's see if we get a back test of VWAP. Or we get a reclaim. Looks like a reclaim to me. Go long. A little bit of a long there. Let's see if we get continuation. New point of control developed here. Nice.
So again, the S&P 500 and Nasdaq 100 quickly pair their gains on the EU tariff comments.
All right, now we have this distribution, this low volume node here to contend with. If we can blast through that, we're probably going right back up. What a flush out. All those longs. Beautiful. Nick says I had this short and closed it for 1,500, then realized I was in the damn sim account. Nick, I've done that so many times. Quite possibly one of the most frustrating things ever. I was like, oh, what a great trade. Oh, I didn't make anything on it. So that was the trade, guys. The value area extreme long off lower band here on ES. Gold still trading in balance. Oil, VWAP trading in balance. Copper, same. Silver, same. Soybeans, a little bit of downtrend, but nothing exciting. Bitcoin, also nothing too exciting there. So I'm liking the indexes right now for this morning, guys. These are 150Ks, Damien. I usually build up to 10 to 20 micros. I'll scale in and scale out. I'm assuming since you just joined, Damien, that you probably haven't been through the course yet. That's going to be in the premium section under the video courses. Let me give you a little link here. Oops, wrong link. I don't know why it's not copying. It's going to be here. The VWAP Wave System course in full is there for you to go through. It's 8 modules, a couple of hours worth of material, goes into all the details you need on execution and all this types of stuff. So, and then once you get through that course, Damien, then you'll probably have lots of questions and we'll go from there. But I'd love for you to take some time and go through that first. Okay, back under VWAP, guys. Now we're experiencing some chop. And it's still pretty thin down here, interestingly enough. So I think longs are still on the table. We might try to move down to this other side of value again first. This is kind of choppy. Right around VWAP here, and this point of control for this new distribution that we're forming right here. So as I see it, we have this area, this value area, and this value area, and we can expect this, and maybe a tree between them, or we go further south and create some new stuff. So we'll see how the market tips its hand here. I'm not taking this value area long trade again. Kind of looks like it wants to give more downside at this point. We held VWAP to the downside right here. And we're still below this value area on the trading hours. So we'll take those longs off the table. Ed says, been there, done that, got the t-shirt. I haven't done it in a while though, so I'm kind of proud of that. I did that a lot last year. I feel like the first trade I took of the session and it was in my sim, thinking it was my real account or my cash account or one of my combines or funded accounts. How's everybody doing out there in terms of their trades? Little check-in. Coming up on the 10:30 mark here. Would love to hear how everybody's doing.
European bonds
Down 100. All right, small loss. Yeah, this is kind of a scalping market right now, especially now that we're back in value. And the range is kind of tight. I don't know. You're trading NQ. You have a much bigger range. It's still actually relatively tight comparatively to what it's been in the past. Look at the daily candle for today versus previous days. You know, we get used to this volatility, and then once it dries up a little bit, no problem, Aaron. Or maybe pop into a simulator, that too, just to practice. Yeah, cool. I'm not one of those guys that is against practice accounts. I think they're hugely valuable and it scratches the itch if you're learning or want to practice or want to take trades. A combine is practice. I mean, you have a little bit of money on the line. I consider it practice for sure. I'll buy a combine to practice in. You have a little bit of skin in the game. You know, your $50 or whatever. You'll treat it a little more seriously than a simulator, so I'm down with that. I guess it depends on how much money you're working with. Some people, you know, don't have $50 to screw around with, and I get that. Nice, Toby. Short off of VWAP there? Or are you talking about gold? assuming. Yes. Okay, so we're, this is a point of control here, guys. Not on the session, but on this distribution. So we can expect choppy conditions right here. Be right back. I gotta use the restroom. Okay, we have a new initial balance we're working with. So that's good. IB low lines up with lower band currently. This point of control lines up with upper band. Value area low on the trading hours lines up with VWAP. So some interesting confluence here. This looks like it wants to return to this distribution, but that's not going to happen until we get past this low volume area. This is going to be natural resistance right here. Let's see what we got. Yeah. Oh, nice. So Toby caught this trap here on ES and shorted it. And I suspected that was going to happen, guys. I mean, that looked like a perfect retail trap to me. I saw the long setting up as if it were like this beautiful trend trade. Higher lows, higher highs, and it sucked in everybody, and then boom, tanked it. And then that news broke. All right, so we're going to test this upper area here probably. Again, this is IB mid. All right. There's a lot going on right here. Let's try and zoom out. Zoom. Let's make it a little cleaner to look at here. So this is the area I'm watching right here. This 460 level is a low volume node. If we could break above that, I could expect us to go to this point of control. Otherwise, this is probably a fade. Trying to push it higher. They're trying to get it through that volume. Goes. All right, see if we can get through this area. Buyers slow down. So will this be a fade value area extreme short, or will this be a return to value? That is the question. Tony, is that down 300 in the sim or in your real accounts? Okay, so far it's a fade value area extreme setup. Unless they can hold it and push it through. Okay, here it goes. See if they can move it. I see lots of fake outs. And I kind of nailed that, guys. I'm up 700. So what I see, and based on what I hear in Pick Strike and the order data, the buyers are trying to push it through this level. They're meeting a lot of resistance, probably passive sellers, and it keeps pushing down off this low volume node, and it sounds like they keep buying it back up. Now, like that doesn't go on for forever. I can trade that, scalp that maybe once or twice until either it breaks or it rejects one way or the other. And there's the rejection. All right, so that was a value area high. All right, so the value area is this distribution. This is the value area high. Right? This is the value area low. So this is the value area we're currently trading in. Up here, it was here. You guys see that? Was a nice dip on that volume profile. Thank you, Ed. All right, guys. I'm up almost 700 in these 5 accounts. This combine is now passed. This is a 150K top step combine. The profit target is $9,000, and I just hit it. So I'm going to lock myself out of that one. I'm going to continue trading these 4 other express funded accounts. These are 150Ks. Trying to hit 1,000 for the day, and I just started these yesterday, so I'm up almost 2 grand in these. I'll hopefully by the time I finish for the day. So good stuff. For those of you guys on YouTube, I appreciate you guys joining us. We did catch some nice trades. Out of the gate, you know, I wasn't streaming yet, but that was a long right there. I took this short here, as this was yesterday's value area high on this big distribution. I called this one nicely, as we called this continuation trade to the long side. It was a scalp, right? There was about 10 points there. This one worked out nicely. before I expected this to be a trap. I saw us building a big distribution here, and I expected retail probably to get sucked into a breakout and bring it right back into the distribution, which is exactly what happened. We had some news break on the EU, which caused this big sell-off. I was very cautious on buying here. I was able to take a couple of scalps as it worked its way down the profile. And then, caught a couple of scalps in this new distribution area, and that's where we are. So hopefully it was valuable to you guys on YouTube. I do appreciate you guys logging in. We're gonna close this one out on YouTube. We're gonna keep trading in the Discord for until 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. You guys are always welcome to join that. There's a 7-day free trial, no risk to you guys. You'll have full access to everything, including the 8-module VWAP Wave system course. That's all free, guys, for 7 days. So you're welcome to grab that. And if you like it, and you like what you see and you find value, hopefully you'll stick around. Have a wonderful day, guys. For you guys in the Discord, we're going to keep trading.